Natalia Bonner. Welcome back. Happy Monday. I'm super excited to be here today and share this incredible Posh Penelope quilt. All right, real quick, this is a quilt that I recently custom machine quilted for my client Teresa, and I loved quilting this quilt. Now today I'm going to be sharing just a sneak peek, a little bit of my process into the machine quilting here. But over on our website in the Peace and Quilt Academy, I do have another video where I go more in depth. It's an exclusive video that you'll only find in the Peace and Quilt Academy. But I'm going to show you the good, the bad, the ugly, and then the awesome. The whole story of machine quilting this incredible quilt. So when I started out with this quilt, I had one idea in mind, started stitching it. It wasn't good. I'll show you all that stuff over in the Peace and Quilt Academy. Today we're going to be focusing on just one little portion of this quilt. And I hope each of you will find just a little bit of inspiration. Take the ideas, the designs that I share with you, and use them on your own quilts. Now before we do hop into this video, I have one exciting little thing to share with you. This coming Wednesday, August 17th, I am opening my books for just a limited number of clients for custom machine quilting in 2023. Not very often do I open my books and take on new customer quilts, so this is a huge opportunity. I do have full details in our email this week and over on our website, peaceandquilt.com. If you do have any other questions, though, always send us an email, support@peaceandquilt.com, or use the chat feature on our website. All right, friends, let's hop into this quilt and let's get stitching. All right, so here's a photo of the quilt after all of the machine quilting is complete. I love this quilt. I think I mentioned it already. If you have not tried one of the So Kind of Wonderful designs, they are an awesome way to use curved piecing. It's actually doable. So today we're going to be focusing on just one of the blocks on this beautiful quilt. Something that I like to do when I'm custom machine quilting is quilt one block just slightly different from all of the other blocks. Now on this quilt, I'm actually using a couple of different designs, and this one is going to be completely different on just one of the blocks. So down near the bottom right hand side, we're going to focus on that green block. If you look closely here, you can see that all of the other blocks have feathers quilted on them, a couple of different types of feathers. And then I have straight lines as my background filler on all of the blocks except for this green block. I think that it creates a little bit more interest in quilts to quilt one block like this just a little bit different. So let's quilt this fun block. I'm going to be using my 4-in-1 machine quilting ruler to quilt this block. Now the curve on the 4-in-1 machine quilting ruler is not the exact same curve as the quick curve ruler which is used to make this quilt. So you'll notice that as I'm stitching out this design, I might actually even use the straight side of my ruler and slightly adjust it as I'm stitching in the ditch. The quick curve ruler does have a machine quilting ruler. I don't have it, but it's a great tool to pick up and use to quilt your own designs that are made from the So Kind of Wonderful patterns. All right, so what I'm going to do on this fun block, I'll start out and stitch in the ditch. After I've done my stitch in the ditch work, then I'm going to fill in that background area with swirls. I share a lot of swirls. I love machine quilting swirls. I teach them in my book, Beginner's Guide to Free Motion Quilting, and my online class. But I'll give you just a fun little tip about quilting swirls. Always leave yourself an out. When you're swirling into the center, always be thinking ahead and think about leaving yourself an out. By doing that, I feel like I end up with more consistent and evenly filled swirls. Now as I'm quilting here, you're going to see not only am I quilting those swirls and stitching in the ditch, but I'm also adding echoes. I love the way on a design like this where I'm going to do some heavy quilting that echo around the curves and then in each of these corner setting blocks. I love the way that echo just adds that nice place for your eye to rest. You know, heavy background fillers right next to heavy quilting on the actual flowers kind of can become a lot. So giving that extra little space for your eye to rest is a great way to create a lot of interest with your machine quilting. So as I work my way around those curves, you'll see here, I do have my ruler foot on my Gamble quilting machine here. Whenever you're working with a ruler foot, you're going to know that your ruler foot is 1/4 of an inch from your needle position to the outside of the foot. So a lot of times I'm not measuring, I'm just using the side of the foot as my guide. Now, because the curve here is not the exact same, when I quilt that echo stitch on each of these curves, if you looked really closely here, you probably noticed that my curve is going to be slightly different. It might start out a little bit thinner down at the outside and then get a little bit wider as I get up to the inside of my flower. I actually think that creates even a little bit more interest with my quilting, just that slight difference in my curve. So I'll let you hang out for a second as I work my way around the block. I'm going to quilt all of my background filler all the way around this block first. As I'm down at that bottom point on the block, you'll notice that I did not quilt the background filler in that block. The reason I didn't, because I'm working here on a long arm machine, my throat space didn't have enough room to quilt that whole entire block. So after I advance my quilt, I'm going to come back through and I'll quilt that final block with the swirls in my next pass. Now that I have all of my swirls done on this block, the background filler, I'm going to go back to doing a little bit of ruler work. So I'm going to use my 4-in-1 machine quilting ruler, and I'm going to stitch an echo on the inside of each of these petals. After I've stitched that echo line, then I'm going to go through and fill in each of these petals with some straight lines. These lines are all going to be evenly spaced, well, evenly-ish. This is hand-guided quilting here. They're all going to be spaced about 1/4 of an inch apart. So as I'm quilting those lines, I'm using my ruler more as a guide to keep my lines nice and straight. And I'll stitch my straight line, create a curve, and then I'm stitching about at the point where the side of my foot is right on top of my previous stitch line. That's how I'm kind of eyeballing the design. You'll notice as I stitch these lines, I will change directions and work my way all the way around this block. I love how this block turned out. I love how this whole quilt turned out. You can find an exclusive video where I share my process machine quilting the rest of the quilt, including a bit of unpicking, some designs that I didn't like, and the awesome results over in the Piece and Quilt Academy. Find all the details about the Piece and Quilt Academy over on our website, pieceandquilt.com. Have a great day, everybody.